the Jolly Boys Brewery podcast.
Here we go. Hey up! Great to have you along, dear listener. Welcome to the Jolly Boys Brewery podcast. And last time we were together, we were at the Stack in Hornsey. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we're nearly in the mothership. We're in the Jolly Tap on the Arcade, which is in the centre of Barnsley, the mighty, mighty town of Barnsley. And we're really happy to be here. And I'm really happy to be here because I'm with all the Jolly Boys, which is, again, amazing. We are Quora brothers. So we have, if I may introduce the brotherhood to you, we have Brother Paul.
Hello, listener. Pleased to be here yet again.
How are you doing?
I'm doing marvellous, thank you very much.
Oh, good to have you along. We've got Brother Dave. How are you?
Oh, good, yeah. Great to be in Barnsley. We love being in this pub in Barnsley.
This is us. This is our spiritual home, isn't it?
This is our pub. This is a Jolly Boys pub in Barnsley.
We love this place. It's on the Victorian Arcade. It's absolutely marvellous. And of course, dear listener, we have the erstwhile, I don't even know what erstwhile means, but we have the erstwhile Brother Andre.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm feeling fine, dear listener.
You are looking lovely in your jolly... Do you know what? You look like a jolly boy because, listener, he's got his hoodie on, his Jolly Boys hoodie, and you'll be able to get a Jolly Boys hoodie soon when we sort out merchandise. He's just kissed it. And I'm looking around the table, and I've got to say, I think I'm the smartest dressed here. I'm the one who's made an effort because I have my waistcoat and my shirt and tie. The rest of you look quite casual.
Semi-casual, I'd say.
Are you semi-casual?
Yeah, I'm sporting a chino.
Is that a chino you're wearing?
A chino and formal shirt.
Not like coloured chinos.
No. Cream.
That'd be too risky.
Yacht wear.
Yeah. like coloured chinos with white trainers.
It's an extreme risk in anybody's book.
Yeah, that's not a look I'm going for.
No, well, maybe it's something you can consider as you enter, Brother Dave, the autumn of your life and career.
Yeah.
And Brother Paul, how's it going on the building site?
It's going all right. Brother Al, I've had a tough day.
You look it. You look
Calluses. I've got calluses.
Well,
I'm not sure whether that's to do with being on the building site.
Well, who knows? Who knows? Well, it's lovely to have you along, of course, and it's lovely to have the brotherhood together because we cherish these moments.
Parish notices.
Dear listener, thank you so much for the support that you've shown us in episode 1 and 2. They obviously went live. We've had loads of traction and loads of attention. If you know people who you think would like our podcast, do share it with them. We're really thrilled at the way it's gone down and the feedback that we've had. If you want to email us, it's pod@jollyboysbrewery.co.uk, and we'll get to some emails a little bit later on in the show. I'm really just quite chuffed because I'm sitting here right now and none of you have had a pop at me about the fact that I've got a waistcoat on.
I don't think we have to.
But quite the opposite. I just think that it's something to behold.
Absolutely. I've got a friend, he's called Toad Off Toad Hall, and he shops at the very same shop. I just car very fast through fields.
I'm just doing my best. The thing is, we've got a lot to get through in this little episode. And I must just say before I forget as well that please, if you've not had chance, you don't just have to listen to the show. You can actually watch it on the YouTubes, they call it. Have you heard of this?
Now, can you tell me about it?
At the YouTubes, it's where they put films and things that are moving.
Is it a modern thing?
It's a modern thing, boys, and we're on it.
Isn't that what Londoners travel round on?
London, that's no, that's something very different, Andre. That's the tube. This is the tube for you. And we're on the YouTubes, and you can go and find our channel on there, which, interestingly, is the Jolly Boys podcast channel. But not only that, and I'm going to blow your minds now, and I'm not talking about you, dear listener, I'm talking about these gentlemen with me, but we are on something called the Tik Toks.
I mean, that is something else.
What do you think about that, Dave?
I don't really know what to say. apart from I keep on thinking that we are really up to date and down with the kids.
I think we are.
Just the fact that we're talking about the TikToks.
Now, dear listener, we don't want you to be left out, so you come and join us on the TikToks. And I think if you search Jolly Boys Brewery Pod, you might find us. Do you know what a TikTok is, Paul?
I've never heard of a TikTok. Is it a watch or something?
Is it a clock?
Is it? I'm not quite sure. I've heard a lot about it,
Yes.
this TikTok thing.
Yeah.
And I have to confess, I had to ask Brother David to actually send me some instructions to get on.
Really? Are you on it
I
now?
mean,
I am
that's-
actually on TikTok.
To be fair, that's a really sort of quite sad moment when I'm the advisor
Yeah.
on modern technology. When I become a consultant in TikTok, I don't know whether I'm proud or ashamed.
And are you working for China? Isn't it some sort of data harvesting thing?
Yeah, I mean, now they know about Brother Paul. I mean,
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a work phone. So, yeah, so,
okay.
We're going to get
yeah,
raided. You're
absolutely.
going to get
I think
raided.
CPOMs might be active.
Andre, are you on the TikToks?
TikToks. Yeah, joined up recently.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
And what do you do when you're on there other than watch our videos? That's all you can do?
That's all I've done.
That's all I know how to do.
I have seen other videos, but not many.
Okay, well,
One or two that pop up.
it seems like the way forward. So, dear listener, do find us on the YouTubes and the TikToks. That's the place to be, kids.
And follow us, apparently, because that's something
What?
that you can do.
Oh, is that?
You-
Oh, yeah, follow us.
You can press,
Follow
you can press
Okay.
a button and it says that you're following somebody.
Oh, Dave, this is why you
That's
are in
why I'm a
charge.
consultant.
You are a consultant.
Yeah.
TikTok consultant.
Born leader.
It is about leadership.
It is leadership, and it's a man in his chinos. We've made assumptions about you, but little did we know.
And if you are watching on the YouTubes, you'll
Yeah.
see that they aren't a light coloured chino, they're a dark coloured.
They are acceptable.
Which so let's get it all correct and
I don't think we should destroy the myth that you've got cream chinos on.
one day.
One day, yeah. So, we've got the parish notices. That's covered it really. We've really gone to town on our. I think the young people call it the socials. So that's what we've been doing. And like I say, we've had feedback over for the last 2 episodes that we've done. The first episode was Brother Andre and myself, where we were discussing stuff, and the last episode was live from the stack in Hornsey, and that seemed to go down well with all concerned. But there has been trouble at the mill, I understand. Paul, if you want to share with the stack itself.
I mean, not trouble in itself, but disturbing news, really.
Right.
And that, not disturbing that Lucy and Julian are actually getting married, which is
a lovely
fantastic news.
Lucy and Julian are the proprietors
Yeah.
of the stack in
And
Hornsey.
I'm not sure whether you're aware.
Is
brother.
it's not to do with the 29th of February, the clock?
No, it's nothing to do with that. And, but obviously they're getting married.
Yeah, that's lovely.
On the 30th of April, which I think we've got to wish them all the best. And,
Callum, could we have some sort of music to celebrate
Like
this
a wedding type.
Like a wedding type jingle with congratulations in it. Let's all pause.
Congratulations.
Oh, and fantastic. Fantastic. It's lovely.
But I've got to bring the mood down ever so slightly.
Oh dear. Oh
But,
dear.
the disturbing news is that they're having a bit of a do,
Yeah.
and but on the bar
Right.
they've got lager. Wait,
Hang on a second.
there's lager,
Right.
there's cider, which is fair enough. But then they haven't got Jolly Boys beer up. They've actually got white rum.
I think there's a few things we need to address.
There's a lot of unpicking there.
I think we have to start with the fact that they've invited lager drinkers, so they know that they're having to put lager on in a private party because they've invited people to drink lager.
That relative of yours will be going. Who we've blacklisted.
As I said on the last podcast, he's no relative of mine anymore.
Right.
So, yeah. That's it.
And they've chosen a beer, a cask beer, from another brewery rather than ours.
It's upsetting, actually, isn't it? I feel like we need to. Do we stop recording? What do we do, Andre? What do you think? What's your take on this?
It is a cask beer.
Yeah, so we should support it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We should absolutely support
Do
it.
you know something? That's just a really positive slant on all that, and I applaud you for that. That's a
What
positive one.
I just don't get this though. I don't actually understand what a cask. I know I'm part of the brewery, but what's this thing? What is it about cask ale that makes it special and would have you as our master brewer, that would have you like saying it's okay that they've gone to another brewery for their wedding beer?
I mean, where do you want me to start?
I want you to start at the chuffing beginning.
What is a cask ale?
Well, I don't know. Do you think the listener might know all this? Or I don't want to patronise. Yeah, I want to be patronised.
We obviously need to be careful. We don't patronise listeners. Most of our listeners, I'm guessing, will be quite into cask ale.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of cask ale and are interested in cask ale. But I think what we're really saying is it's about supporting each other and from a brewery point of view that we're stronger together.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but recent petitions calling for. Should I introduce this now?
Yes, I think you should. Seems like the best time.
Cask ale, British cask ale, to get UNESCO Brewers Heritage status.
Is that a headline?
It's a headline, yeah.
And where did you find that?
In the Guardian newspaper,
Good Lord.
just last week.
What does that mean? Can you unpick that? Can you explain?
Well, I mean, where do I start? UNESCO Heritage status, for dear listener, for those of you that don't know, is the United Nations award for, well, I mean, there's 10 criteria, but one of them, which I think applies, is to represent a masterpiece of human creative genius.
Well, that's us.
Do we need to go on to the next 9? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
But it's something that's moved humanity on.
Yeah.
But this will be the first time that a drink has applied for it,
Is
or
it
would get it.
usually like a castle or an area of woodland, or I don't know what?
Oh,
is it
absolutely! I've got some
like
here.
Stonehenge.
Yeah, that is one. Yeah, Stonehenge, Taj Mahal,
Yeah.
Great Wall of China.
And cask ale. Now you're talking.
Interestingly, though, the nearest one to us is Saltaire in Yorkshire.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to come back to that later.
Yeah, well, Saltaire is a fantastic, wonderful place.
And they've got a brewery.
It's a good brewery as well. Great brewery.
I mean, do you want me to give a little bit about Saltaire?
Yeah,
at this
please
point?
do. I think the listener will be interested in
Right.
this.
Well, dear listener, Saltaire is a. Well, I'll give you the quick story. Titus Salt was a mill owner during Victorian times, and he got a bit fed up of his staff dying. So one day he walked around.
We're like that in the brewery, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, he walked around his mill.
We
and
don't make it.
I imagine he'd trained up some worker to work the loom or one of his innovative machines of the time. And Monday morning, somebody doesn't clock on, and he just got really fed up about it. So what he did is he walked around where they all lived, and then he put 2 and 2 together and realised that when you've got 9 to 12 people living in a cellar with a pig, that it might not be the most healthy of environments. So he bought a field about 2.5, 3 mile northwest of Bradford, where his mill was, in by the River Aire, and his surname was Salt, and I think you can join the dots together. So he had 14 kids, so he built 14 streets, named one after each, and he provided all his workers with housing, a school, a town hall, a church. Not a pub though.
No, not a pub. No, because very religious.
Absolutely.
Is that where he fell short?
Well,
When we do our town for our workers, we're definitely having a pub in it.
He didn't have a Jolly Boys.
Well, this is why it's a bit of a slap in the face that there's a brewery in there now. But some people said he was trying to play God. Others say he was a middle-class philanthropist.
Yes,
That's
yes,
easy for you to
yes.
say. There is a pub there now. I think the first pub to open, I'm not sure if it's still there now, was called Don't Tell Titus.
That's
Clever.
good.
It's still there.
That's good, and that's Saltaire. That's nearby. And there's similarly in the Wirral. There's
Correct, yeah.
it's Port Sunlight.
Well, he was the first.
Lord Lever, was he?
Yeah, he was the
Yeah.
first, and then I think George Cadbury followed suit.
Yeah.
They realised that they needed to look after their workers,
Yeah.
and then a few things happened, but in the end, that's sort of the concept of council housing.
It sort of
Yeah.
feels like I'm in a different podcast.
No, this is like
It's like the rest is
rest is history. This is you're really good at this, Andre.
Look, I mean, I'm sure that there will be some dear listeners who've got a slightly different version of events, but that's essentially the point behind it. But it did lead to social housing because governments around the world started to realise they might be onto something. Keep your workers alive. They might be better at the
I
work.
like how it's really extreme. It's not just looking after your workers, it's keeping them alive.
Yeah, stopping them from dying.
Stop your workers dying by giving them some nice conditions and some nice houses and a nice place to live, and then they'll work harder for you. Social housing, brilliant.
Just keep them alive to work for
Yeah.
you. I mean, that's a good concept.
It's like slavery. But anyway,
Well, I mean, we'll not gloss
with a
over the
nice-
fact
yeah.
that they did import rather a lot of cotton.
yes, yes,
And they did build obscene amounts of wealth off the back of,
yeah,
shall we say, difficult working conditions in other parts of the world.
yes. But that is a UNESCO site, Saltaire,
And that is why it's a UNESCO
up the road from us.
Yeah.
Up the road from us.
in Yorkshire. So again, Yorkshire people pioneering ahead in the concept of looking after the worker.
So that's wonderful. And where has this idea of cask ale? Where's that come from? Who's applied?
Well,
Do we know?
I mean, I'm not exactly down on this, but what I would say is that I read an article in the newspaper recently, which I've got saved to my phone.
Yeah.
Well, I had saved to my phone, which
Are you on TikTok there?
no, I'm on my WhatsApp.
Yeah.
I said, it's a petition at this stage.
Yeah.
And it's
It's just something to recognise as significance, isn't it, of cask ale, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like cultural significance, isn't it, within
Yeah.
That's what it is.
British society.
It's gathering speed, and it's basically unique to the UK. And there are people in Britain who've been enjoying this drink for a long time, at least 1,000 years. This cask conditioned ale, and it's just a shout out that not all beer is in kegs,
Yeah.
and that's the essential difference. It's the cask versus the keg.
So what is the difference between a cask? And I'm just not sure. What is the difference between a cask and a keg?
Well, people don't like to call lager is a beer. Let's be clear about that. Lager is a beer,
Right.
just like beer is a beer.
Yeah.
And the lager tends to be in Britain kept in a keg,
Right.
Which the keg is a sterile environment. The yeast is not in there. It's got CO2 in it, which can be injected in like a soda stream.
Yeah.
And watch out for that on the advert. It'll say really quickly added after fermentation. But the way the Germans do it, they actually get the beer to produce its own CO2.
Right.
So, which yeast basically, when you put yeast in beer, it eats the sugar or some of the sugar, and it produces CO2 and alcohol. They're the two byproducts.
Right.
But when you put it into a keg, you basically say, that's it now, it's finished. You're just storing it in the keg.
Yeah.
And when you pull the pint on the bar, it just injects a little bit of carbon dioxide in. As you take a pint out, it puts some CO2 in
Yeah.
to make sure it doesn't go off. So a lager, you could keep it for months and it wouldn't go off. Or a kegged beer, you could keep it for months and it wouldn't go off. Whereas the cask ale is different. It's like a bottle of wine. It's alive.
Right.
And if you tap that cask today, it will taste different than what it might do in a month.
Right.
Because it's a living product. And if you remember, some of our best porters were after COVID when we left them for a year. And they tasted amazing.
Oh, COVID! What a lovely time that was for the business.
That's a full episode.
Yeah, that's it's a season. But yeah, is that what we did? We just left them.
We left the beer, because what happens is when you put it into a cask,
Does it not go off in a cask?
it will do eventually. And when
Yeah.
it goes off, it's like a pint of milk. It's there and then straight off the edge of the cliff.
All right.
But what you got to think about is when you put beer into a cask, the yeast has almost done its work, but you just put it into the cask before it's quite finished, the last 1% maybe, just enough yeast in there to keep fermenting for like a tiny bit.
So there is a demand to look at a cask once it's delivered to a pub like here. It needs looking after.
Well, when it's fermenting, you let the CO2 out, but once it's in the cask, that last little bit's trapped in the cask, forced into the beer. So when you pull that pint,
right,
especially when you've got a sparkler on, which will come.
Well, I'm going to come back to that sparkler issue in a minute.
When you pull that pint, it's got that head to it, that creaminess to it. When it's pulled with a hand pull.
Right, so, and you've managed a bar, haven't you, Brother Dave?
Yeah,
in your time, and I've seen you step behind the bar here a couple of times, looking after casks.
Yeah. What's
your perspective of cask management?
Well, I just think it's important that anybody who's running a pub, and landlords and landladies and managers and that, who are running pubs, that they understand what Brother Andre's just been talking about, and the fact you've got to properly look after the cask. And that conditioning process happens in the cellar, the cold room, the cold storage area of a pub is just really important. And you will go into pubs, and if you're a concerning drinker, you will come across beer that doesn't appear visually or otherwise appropriate, right? And it's highly likely that that's because of the process that's happened in the pub, not in the brewery.
Yeah.
And so sometimes brewers, whether it's us or other people, get a bit of a bad press about beer because they think it's something wrong with the beer when it's actually not being conditioned properly and looked after properly once it's been delivered to the pub. So it's important that the process is absolutely right. And this is the real challenge for cask drinkers, is the process is right from the start of the brewing process all the way through to when it's pulled into the glass. Because you can even get a bad pint because the person behind the bar doesn't know how to pull a pint properly.
Yeah,
so it's a real art to it, and a real process that needs to be focused on all from start to finish.
So it's a bit different to lager, because I've noticed Brother Paul, he's gone very quiet. When we mention lager, he goes quiet, doesn't he? Have you noticed that, Dave? He goes into himself.
It bothers him.
It bothers him, doesn't it?
I am bothered. And one of the things I was bothered about, that it was actually described as a beer.
Yeah, so
Brother Andre, I am shocked to the core.
It's not Highgate again, is it?
The next time I bypass a carling, and absolutely horrified by somebody drinking it.
I didn't say it was a good beer.
That's all right.
God, I just felt the tension lift there.
So you see, I think I'm going to be quite controversial, because Andre mentioned about German lagers and drinking German lagers. I've been to Munich and sat in a beer cellar in Munich drinking draft kegged Munich brewed lager, and really enjoyed it. That's me being controversial, but I wouldn't touch a session lager in a British pub for love nor money.
A pretend Spanish lager.
Of which there are many.
A bit like Manuel.
In the Midlands.
A bit like Manuel in Fawlty Towers.
Many such lagers.
There are. I've explored German beer, and I think I had 11 and ended up playing in an umpire band, which is another story for another day.
There is video footage.
There is. We'll get that on the YouTubes, maybe.
Or on the TikToks.
Or on the TikToks. I'll be getting that sent to our master TikToker. Is there anything else to say about UNESCO? Because that's a really interesting development that we're going to follow, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep the listener posted. But I do think that cask ale. I mean, you're talking about German lager, German beers or lagers. They've got history to them. They're the real deal. They use top feeding yeast. We use bottom feeding yeast. Sorry, the other way around. They use bottom feeding yeast. We use top feeding yeast in our country. And that, I mean, perhaps German lager should get UNESCO as well. But the product that we enjoy essentially is the same as what what people have been enjoying in this country, and it's part of our culture, which has then been moved around the world through, I guess, British exploration around the world, or even colonialism.
Yeah.
But with the IPAs, and then sort of the American beers late to the party with the hopping, whereas the UK sort of the English traditional ales and the Scottish traditional ales have the malt, the bittersweet profile, the full body from the cask.
Glass is gone.
That's a broken bottle.
Bottle's gone. It's all kicking off on podcast.
This is live on the podcast.
Live on the podcast. It's happening right now. It's a live event, dear listener. Honestly, the bottle's gone. It's all right. Emily's here.
Some intervention coming.
Emily's here. It's proper distract. It's all right. It's all getting sorted. Well,
Steward's inquiry, but
yeah.
And indeed, there is a steward's inquiry on the cask ale front as well. But I would say that I think in Britain, somewhere between 3 and 4% of beer is consumed through the keg. And I think it gets a lot more coverage than its proportion of being consumed by the customer.
Right.
And I think what makes Britain stand out is the cask ale.
Yeah. So we need to keep going with cask.
And
we need to keep promoting it in the way that we do.
I think it's what we love, yeah.
Yeah.
It's what we love and we believe in, and when it's done properly, it blows any of the other type out of the water.
And with some sort of UNESCO award or status, some status, then that will guarantee it would be protected for the future.
Well, I'm not a critic, and I certainly don't want to be accused as being a little Englander, but I'd rather have a pint of beer than go to the pyramids of Giza.
You would, wouldn't you?
And drink As's milk.
And the Taj Mahal.
Not again.
I've got no interest in going to the Taj Mahal.
Carry on, Cleo.
Do we want another drink?
Oh, Emily's here. Can we help you?
Yeah, I'm inclined to be
Another pint of the session, please.
Yeah, I'm abstaining. I'm on the tea at the moment.
Thank you. So that's really interesting. Thanks for that, Andre. And it will be good to keep an eye on that. And I guess to be honest, we're up to Ask the Brewer, which obviously we've been asking you a few questions just there, but we've got some genuine questions now that have been sent in by listeners. So and we can all chip in.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can all. So let's give Callum the chance to share his wonderful. What do you call them? Jingles. Thanks.
Yeah, jingle.
It's Ask the Master Brewer.
Who? What? Why? When? Where? How? With whom? Ask the Master Brewer.
It's a good jingle. It's one of his best. So I've got the questions here, and I'd like we all chip into this.
Yep.
So first of all, this one came in from Adam, and this came in on the email, and it's pod@jollyboysbrewery.co.uk. This is from Adam, and I've paraphrased. But is a stout, asks Adam, still a stout without roast barley? And is the master brewer an advocate of said roast barley in our beer? And he did put an aside, he's a bit of a brewing beer expert, is Adam, and he said he once had a stout that had too much barley in it, roast barley in it, and it tasted like an ashtray. Not one of ours, I'm sure. So do you want to take that on, Andre? Because that seems quite specialist.
Well,
Technical.
Home
Then we'll
brewers.
hand over to Paul as a consumer.
I mean, home brewers do beer is it's a subjective thing, but there are some protocols that you must follow.
Yeah.
But stout probably needs its own podcast. Let's be clear about that. And stout, porter, it's difficult to know where they split. There's a lot of debate around that, but most sort of consensus is that the porter was two beers that were blended to create, an old beer, a mature beer, maybe 2-year-old, with a green mild, a really new beer, where the old sort of market porters in London, down in Borough Market, I believe it is, would blend the beers after a hard day moving stuff around. And as I understand it, the stout was a more robust version of the porter, a stouter version, if you like. And I believe roasted barley got introduced. There's a few myths about it, but I think tax had something to do with it in Ireland, where if you had roasted barley in your beer, you paid less tax. But in reality, any beer you drink, at least 80% of the beer is going to be pale malt. And the roast barley is an adjunct, and something you'd add to it, which not much. I mean, it's hard to find a percentage, but 3 to 5% maybe total. And it imparts sort of burnt flavours. So I get the ashtray references.
Ah, right, that's what he meant.
Yeah, it imparts sharp, dry, bitter flavours, and it gives you a dark brown colour.
Yeah.
It's not something we use at the moment.
Right.
We tend to use other malts, black malt, chocolate malt.
Ah, yeah.
Which you can make perfectly good stouts and porters with those.
Okay, so I think that's really helpful for Adam, and I hope.
I must say though that
yes.
Home brewers do, some of the best brewers are home brewers, and they're very generous with their opinions and innovations.
Yeah, they are, and that's how you started, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's a good community, really, home brewing, and when you're only making 40 pints, you can experiment and play around with things.
You could make 40 pints of stout and invite Paul round and maybe have one or two.
I'd rather drink a stout than an ashtray.
Yes.
To be honest, even though I am partial to a smoke.
Yeah.
Every now and then, as we know.
You are.
I've got to say, I'm a big advocate of the porter and the stout. Yeah. It's in various forms as well that it comes in, and it's my go-to beer, really, and one that I would always favour.
Yes.
Rather than going down to the lighter. Which makes it a great.
But what we've been drinking here,
a session pale, which is very nice.
A session pale, ladies and gentlemen, which is a new Jolly Boys ale, and which we'll perhaps talk about at another time, because we've just dealt with the stout. I was thinking when you were talking and you talked about work, the working person, how the dark beers would be there, perhaps on the Sunday night, I don't know, before a shift. Just have 9 before you go to work.
Yeah. I'll drive back.
Yeah, it's quite a historical drink, though, isn't it? A stout.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
It's a working person's drink.
Oh, yeah, it's got history to it.
Yeah.
A lot of history. Most people believe it started in the East End of London, and it was invented by the drinker rather than the brewer. And then modern-day brewers have mimicked that, or tried to mimic that original flavour.
That's really interesting. Thank you for that. I've just got another couple of questions. I'm just conscious of time. But there's a question here from Thomas G on YouTube.
He sounds young.
Well, he's of this parish, actually, because his question's brilliant. What are the environmental ramifications of brewing, pal? I think that's you. And how do you offset the impact? Cheers, pal. Up the tarn. And I think that means up the Barnsley.
That is a reference.
I think that's what it means. So there's something about the environment here.
Lovely.
So is it? I mean,
that's fabulous.
Do you know anything about this, David? Do you know anything about the environmental impact of the brewing?
To be honest,
or the brewery?
It's a really interesting question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite a new one to me, and I'm sure Brother Andre and the brewers on the brewing process has looked into it. I suppose it's about looking at it from start to finish, isn't it? What product you use, how you go through, what process do you go through to brew, and then what is the waste associated with that as well. Because obviously there is a fairly intense process going through brewing that does have an higher environmental impact.
You would be surprised how environmentally friendly we are these days. The carbon footprint of the brewery is quite low.
So I'm just showing how clear.
However, there are pubs in this fair borough could support us getting even lower by accepting deliveries from our brewery. The key thing to brewing is if you can sell the majority of your beer close to the brewery, that makes you straight away more environmentally friendly, because obviously beer is a heavy thing. We do, when we send beer further away, use plastic casks, which are lighter and therefore use less petrol or diesel to transport the goods around. The wholesaler that we use, or the wholesaler that supports us, they've got quite a lot of EVs now when they go into, because a lot of pubs are down narrower streets and, you know, little tight areas in towns. So the dray vehicles, they're not horse and cart anymore, but they're increasingly turning more to EV. But the big saver in a brewery is the water that's saved through using the modern day heat exchanger, which is a brilliant invention, because in years when you make beer, you've got to get that beer down from pretty much 100 degrees Celsius, about 98.5 around here, when it's boiling, to 21 degrees C or thereabouts, depending on what you're doing. And you've got to crash it down. You've got to get it to drop quickly, not in 3 or 4 days. Back in the day, before the heat exchanger, breweries had to be next to rivers. They used to use the river water to do that, which would cause all kinds of problems in rivers with and putting warm water back into rivers. But the modern day heat exchanger is really clever, because as the new water comes into the brewery, or into the hot liquor tank for the next brew, it actually warms up as it's cooling down the beer to 21 degrees. So in theory, when you transfer your brew across to fermentation, the fermentation is cooler and the water coming into the brewery is warmer. So that's a big thing that we can do, that we have done. And most modern breweries will use that method these days. So other things, we look through everything we do. I mean, the glassware we use, all the procedures we've got in the brewery. Each procedure is all about trying to limit the impact on the
waste
environment.
barley is used in as
Farm
Cattle feed, yeah.
We are bothered about this stuff, aren't we? We do care about
Very
this
little
stuff,
weight. We run a brewery for 10 years without a bin.
without a bin.
Without a bin, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we had to get one.
Yeah.
But
It was only small though, wasn't it?
just like a little domestic bin. But
It would have pedal bin.
It were a pedal bin like in bathroom.
very little.
Industrial brewery. Yeah, that were it.
Yeah. That was for the inside of the toilet roll.
Yeah.
Things like that, yeah.
Yeah. That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, most and again, most of the water that goes into a brewery is turned into beer.
Really,
Remember, beer is 96% water.
That's really helpful, and I hope, Thomas, that answers your question. And we will think about. We do think about this stuff, and we do think it's all important. We just got one more question that's come in, which I thought was a good one. This is from young James, and bless him, he lives in Exeter, which
poor kid.
which dear listener is chuffing miles away.
Well, it's Cornwall.
It's Cornwall, isn't it?
Cornwall
Exeter.
area.
It's south, isn't it, from where we are?
Devon, yeah.
And he writes with a bit of an appeal. Why don't we have sparklers in Exeter? He says ales are nicer with sparklers. Loving the pod, he says. What a good lad, eh?
Yeah, but poor kid having to drink his beer without a sparkler.
Yeah.
Can you just explain the sparkler thing, Paul? What's the crack?
I thought, and more than thought, really, because I was sampling quite a few ales down in Cornwall recently.
Research is
And
key.
the first time I actually went to Cornwall, I was shocked. Shocked because they do use sprinklers down there in Cornwall, and you don't tend to see it as you pass Derby, really. You know,
You see, I would argue that's quite a sweeping statement around they use sparklers in Cornwall. I think you might have dropped on a pocket of good quality beer and sparkler, maybe.
No, I don't think so. Because I sampled
Interesting.
beers in various spots in Cornwall.
Listen, I mean, if somebody was going to do a survey of beer tasting, I'd bow down to you.
I think you stick to TikTok, Dave.
And each place had sparkler.
You see, my brother runs a pub in Dorset. Lovely pub. If you're in the area, it's got the Horns Inn in Wimborne.
Oh,
But they don't have sparklers on the beer, and it upsets me. It upsets me because I feel like it's a waste of that beer to not experience it through a sparkler and to give that smooth texture and that agitation that beer wants. But what he says is the locals don't want that. They wouldn't want that. And they drink it flat. And dare I say, it looks a little bit like dishwater.
Yeah, it's not very well presented.
it's not very joyful.
No, when you see it, when it hasn't been served through a sparkler, and clearly, we have an expert from Exeter
Yeah.
who is suggesting that it is much better.
He's saying it's a joyless experience.
Yeah, well, it's interesting he says that, 'cause my wife's from Derby, and I went into Derby, and it's got some brilliant real ale pubs, not criticising, but I ordered a pale, and it looked really sad. And so was I.
Oh, mate, I think that's a good place to leave this.
But it got me thinking.
What a bombshell.
I think on that sadness note,
Yes.
what we've got to basically say to James is move house.
Move north, James. Why would you want to live down there anyway?
Where is the line though? Because I went to Sheffield and tasted a beautiful, creamy
Where is
pint. So presumably the line's somewhere between Sheffield and Derby.
Dear listener, where is the line? I think that's the question
Maybe
we're going to
we could
leave
have
hanging.
we could have it as a little bit of a please email us around from geographical locations where sparklers are either on or off the pint.
Yeah,
Must have them.
let us know.
Well, the people in Derby were absolutely loving that beer of sadness.
You can't. There's no accounting for taste, quite literally.
I've got to admit, I get angry about it when I go to London.
Rein it
I
in.
go from sort of pub to pub looking to see whether they've got a beer that's got a sparkler in. And then getting angry with myself and anybody who happens to be with me.
Is that why you then turn to the Carling?
I met a bloke.
That's why I get straight back on the tubes and head for King's Cross and come back up north.
I was in
Choose, by the way.
I was in Torquay once, and there was a guy from Blackburn, I think he was from, and he actually had a sparkler in his pocket. And he just he just pulled it out and said, "Pull me a pint with that." We were in a pub called the Hole in the Wall, which I believe has sadly shut recently. But great, I mean, it was a great pub. But I remember him saying, "Get that on that, and pull me a pint with that on." And they did it. To be fair.
Listener, you've heard it here first. Have you got a sparkler in your pocket? That's the question. And would you like one? Because we can sort that out. If you're in the south, we're going to send you sparklers. We could do some sort of fundraiser, sparkler aid.
I think one of the things we can do is
Sparkler awareness.
Sparkler and awareness.
we can certainly send James a sparkler for having Exeter.
James, send us your details. We'll send you a sparkler. Look, we're running out of time, and I've just got to go to the WhatsApp randomizer. WhatsApp randomizer. Well done, Callum. And here it is. It's just one statement. And maybe someone can explain this. The statement is, and this is from me, to the WhatsApp group with Andre, Paul and Dave, I have written, "It's okay. Paul and I have sorted out a till." Do you know what that's about?
Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Because this is 10 years old now, this
Yeah,
story,
it is.
And this is when, quite simply, we needed a till in order to sell beer. And Yeah, have you ever? I don't know, listener, if you've ever come across those Playmobil tills. Fisher Price, because Brother Paul decided he would provide the till, and being frugal as our finance manager, he looked at what was possibly the cheapest till you could actually get. And when he turned up at the brewery with his till and unpackaged it, it was fairly basic.
There were squeals of delight.
And it was one of the funniest things that we were setting up a commercial business with a till that you would buy your child to make a play shop in their little corner house that they built in the playroom.
You are quite accurate there. When the draw shot out, it dinged.
Yeah. I mean, it was genius because we've dined out off the back of that for 10 years.
I don't have any defence for it.
No, I have no defence.
There's no defence apart from at the time, I think, when we were trying to get everything sorted. I am trying to defend myself here, and I shouldn't be really.
Yeah,
because,
go on.
And I think Toys R Us is quite a reputable dealer.
Yeah.
Particularly in finance merch, and things, and a supplier of quite important tills and things. So
we got to the point where we if you remember, we thought we'd use that till in our. We used to have a really lovely little bar inside our brewery. And we called it the Doghouse because it was for obvious reasons. It was called the Doghouse because we were often in the doghouse. And we got to the point where even in such a small bar with really limited customers, the till couldn't handle it. No. So that became a pub without a till because it couldn't handle all three customers at once.
I took it home to my daughter was 6 at the time. I took it home and said she could play with it in the bedroom, and she gave me it back and said it wasn't good enough.
She did.
It's not complicated enough for me.
She did offer to exchange it for her kitchen that she had in place, which we took her up on, which explained our food offer.
That's a lovely WhatsApp message.
Yeah, it's a good one, that one. Just one more parish notice I forgot. Last episode, I asked you, dear listener, you may remember the story of Lewis. If you've not had a chance to hear it, go back. It's episode 2.
Not his real name.
Not his real name, Lewis. Not his real name. And Brother Paul, you gave him an acronym for his name, so we all knew who we were talking about, and it was FLUC.
FLUC.
FLUC. So I asked the listener what it might stand for. So we're going for Bob's suggestion. Bob, who's a good listener, has said, does it stand for flaming lazy, useless cretin? Let's say it does.
It's very close.
It's incredibly close.
It's a commendable effort.
Thank you, Bob, for that. Look, we've come to the end of the show, and that's been quite an epic. So we really hope you've enjoyed listening. So as we say goodbye to the Jolly Tap on the Arcade this evening with a few pints of the brand new Session Pale, I invite you to go and have a look on the YouTubes, of course, and go and have a look on the Tik Toks. Go and have a look on there. Please search the Jolly Boys Brewery podcast. Please keep listening. Please keep subscribing and supporting. Please be in touch with us and give us some suggestions. If you want Brother Andre to talk more about the brewing process, then send in a question.
Talk less.
Or talk less. That's entirely. We're all listening.
To wind his neck.
We're all listening for feedback, honestly. And a future episode, we're just in negotiations now for a special guest on a future episode. We're thinking about getting the chief brewer in. Hang on, let's get some deep music going. That's it, proper deep music for the chief brewer. We may be getting him in to talk about the real getting your hands dirty process of brewing ale. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
The Jolly Boys Brewery Podcast.